On this map behind me, you see every single team that's in FC25, and our goal in this video is to see which one of these teams will be able to conquer every other club to take over the world. So this is how it's gonna work. We're gonna spin this wheel to see which team will get to attack, and in this case it's Westerlo, and Westerlo's a team in northern Belgium, and they'll need to attack one of these teams around them. And to determine the direction, we spin this arrow which points northwest, and over in that direction is Royal Antwerp. So when we sim the match in FC25, Antwerp takes it 4-1, which now means they take over Westerlo's land and get one of their best players. Now, a moment of silence for all the Westerlo fans. The first out of 667 teams to go out. Now, we'll keep going with Royal Antwerp until their turn ends, and their turn will end in 5 matches. And if they go on to win all these matches, as a reward, every player in their starting 11 will receive a +1 overall upgrade. So for their second match, they're heading northwest to play Willem 2, and they win the match 3-0. And this time they'll take Meerweld from Willem. And now for their third match, they're heading southwest, and over in that direction, we've got Leuven. Now all these logos might look very pixelated, but if you enlarge them, they look fine. And if you're interested in getting my map and doing something similar, you can find it on my website, Ghiellini.shop. I've spent countless hours creating this from scratch. So if you want to get it, the link is in the pinned comment and the description. Now moving on, it's an upset for Leuven. They win it 3-2. The dice rolls a 6. And next they attack Sint-Truidense towards the southwest. And again, it's the defending side that wins. Sint-Truidense rolls a 5. For their second match, they're attacking Waalwijk. And this time, Waalwijk wins. You know who's switching teams. It's Alderweireld. Maybe he's the reason why everyone's been losing. But let's see if Waalwijk can break his curse. They'll have to try against NAC Breda. And yes, finally the curse has been broken as they take over Breda's land and add Janosek to their squad. Now for their third match, they're heading northeast to face Feyenoord, and they lose 1-0. Feyenoord rolls a 6 and heads northeast to face Utrecht. They win the match 2-1. Next, they went on to beat Almere City 3-1. Then the Belgian side Beerschot 5-2. The arrow then pointed towards a slightly tougher opponent in Ghent, and the Belgian side put a stop to Feyenoord's run. They're desperate for a striker, so they're taking Santiago Jimenez, who at the time of filming was still with Feyenoord. Now, they also rolled a 6 and started their attack with Pek Zwolle, who they beat 4-2, then Heracles 3-1, FC Twente 2-1, and then entered Germany beating Osnabrück 3-2. Ultimately, they had to face the Bundesliga side Holstein Kiel, a 3-star side, and came up short, losing on penalties. So they did all this work for Kiel to take over all their land. The Germans either need a goalkeeper or a striker. We'll go with goalkeeper. Alright, so far we've been stuck in Northern Europe where we started, so we have to switch gears a little bit, otherwise we'll never get to see other parts of the world. So we're gonna go back to our team wheel to pick a new team, and we'll continue with them. So that side is Racing Club. They're an Argentinian side. We can find them sandwiched between all these other Buenos Aires teams. Racing is rated 3.5 stars. They're gonna play a maximum of 3 matches. First match will be against Huracan, and they win 2-0, so they get Echeverria. Next, they head southwest to attack San Lorenzo, and this time they lose 2-1. So San Lorenzo erases Racing from the map and get Quintero. The dice rolls a 1, which means they only have to play 1 match, and they've just played it. So their starting 11 receives a +1 for successfully completing their turn. Now we spin the wheel again and get Newport County. They're a Welsh team on the eastern side of Wales. They can play 3 matches at most. First, they play against the tougher Walsall side, and they beat them 4-2. Then they have to face a championship side in Birmingham, and this time they lose 3-2. With 5 matches to play, Birmingham attacks Shrewsbury and beat them 4-0. Next up, it's Wolves to the east, and this time they lose 4-0. Now with a squad like this, Wolves don't take any players from Birmingham. Also needing to play 5 matches, they next attack Stoke City to the northeast, beating them 2-1. Then Port Vale to the west, winning that one 1-0. Then for their fourth match, the arrow pointed to the north towards Manchester United, and the Red Devils won it 2-0. They take over a decent piece of land and also get Cunha. With Cunha in the lineup, this is how they look. Rashford was still with them at the time of filming. Now the number of matches for Manchester United is 3, and for their second match, they're heading south slightly east, and that's Swindon Town. They win it 3-1, and without taking any players from them, for their final match, they're heading northwest to take on Ryan Reynolds' Wrexham, and they also win this match by 2 goals. They're not going to be taking any players from Wrexham, just expanding their land, and for completing their turn successfully, the entire starting 11 gets a +1. So now we have to pick a new team, and it's Cagliari. So we're moving southeast towards Italy, and the maximum number of matches for them is 5. And in their first match, they have to play Roma. And Roma wins the match 1-0, so we continue with them. They'll take a 76 rated Luperto as a substitute. And the number of matches for Roma is 4. And for their second match, they're attacking Southeast. And over in that direction is Malta, which is a country without any teams in FC 25. Now, this goes for the entirety of Africa as well. There's not a single club team from there. So now Roma will take over Malta. Then we have this position wheel that will spin. And whichever position it lands on, we'll pick a player to give a +3. So it lands on goalkeeper here, which means Civilar goes up to 80. Next, the arrow points towards the south, slightly east. And over in that direction is Egypt. So Roma gets another free piece of land. And the upgrade wheel lands on goalkeeper again. So Civilar goes up to 83. Next, it's more land for Roma. This time they erase Israel from the map. Wheel lands on midfielder. Paredes is the lowest rated midfielder for Roma, so he goes up to 81. So Roma successfully completes their turn, but their starting 11 won't be receiving the +1 overall upgrade. I think it'd be too unfair. So whenever a team takes over a country at any point during their turn, they won't be getting the +1 bonus when they finish their turn. I think this rule will keep things more balanced. Now we go back to our wheel and pick a new team, and it lands on Brescia. So this time we head to the north of Italy, and Brescia will be attacking Atalanta to the north, and they lose the match 3-2. The number of actions for Atalanta is only 1, so their starting 11 immediately receives a +1. Now it's time for a new team, so we spin the wheel, and it lands on Spurs. And now the number of actions for Tottenham is also 1, and for their only match, they're heading south, and directly south from their logo is in fact Arsenal. So we've got the North London derby. This starting 11 will receive a +1 if they manage to win, and they do. 5-3 is the final score. Looks like Son got himself a hat trick. So if you're an Arsenal fan, it's pretty much all over before it even began. Tottenham takes over your land and your best player, and their starting 11 receives a +1. Now next, we're moving to Australia, to Adelaide. Now I know this isn't Adelaide's actual location in Australia, but I had to try my best to fill the entire country. So the direction they'll be attacking is southeast, and we find Western Sydney there, and the defending side wins it 1-0. They'll take Bart Friends from Adelaide. They got a 3 from the dice and ended up taking over Indonesia as well as Malaysia. First striker Borrello, then goalkeeper Thomas went up to 72. Then spinning the wheel sent us back to Belgium, where Anderlecht had at most 5 matches to play. They first beat Kortrijk and took De Jager. Then they won against Charleroi and took Zorgan. And for their third match, they went northeast to face Holstein Kiel, and they beat them, avenging fellow Belgian side Ghent. So all this land goes back to the Belgians, and they also take Unerstal. He gives them a +10 overall upgrade. Next, Anderlecht's attacking Schalke, and they also win this match 1-0, taking Karaman. And now for their final match, they're heading southeast to play Essen, and they lose it. Essen's a Division 3 side, by the way. So Unerstal's the player to switch sides once again. Now it's a 6 from the dice for Essen. For their second match, they're heading northeast to face a Danish side in Sønderjyske. Did I get it right?
Sønderjyske.
Maybe. This side is rated 1 star, and they take out the Germans 2-1. Well, maybe he's the problem. Well, it's gonna be at most 5 matches for
Sønderjyske.
And for their second match, they go southeast to face a team twice their strength, and they beat them as well. Then next, they had to face a Hanover 96 side that's rated 3 stars. And guess what? They won it. They did it again. So with a 76 rated Halstenberg on their side, they're now rated 2 stars. And now they have to face the Bundesliga side, Werder Bremen. And it's another shocking result. So their fairy tale run continues with Weiser. Next up, it's another Bundesliga side, the 3-star rated St. Pauli, and the dream is over for Sønderjyske. So now all this land they worked so hard for turns brown. Unerstal's the player to switch sides yet again. St. Pauli has to play at most 5 matches. So they go on to attack Groningen, beating them 1-0. Then the arrow points towards the northeast, and in that direction we've got Copenhagen, and Copenhagen obliterates them 5-1. So the best Danish team gets revenge for Sønderjyske, and they also of course get Unerstal. He provides a nice +9 upgrade over Trot. Alright, at this point we've been in Northwestern Europe for a while, so let's try to see a different part of the world. And that part of the world is not that far away, as the wheel lands on Antalyaspor. So we'll head southeast over to Turkey, and Antalyaspor loses in their first match to Konyaspor. Then Konyaspor loses to Göztepe over to their west. The winning side then rolls a 1, so this ends their turn with their starting 11 getting a +1. So we now go back to to the wheel, and the next team to play is Halmstad. So we're going back northwest, this time to Sweden. And Halmstad can at most play 2 matches. And for their first match, they're heading southwest to face AGF, and they get destroyed 5-1. Then AGF went on to face IFK Varnamo and lost to them on penalties. Then Varnamo played Elfsborg, and this time they were the ones losing on penalties. Then Haken took out Elfsborg with a last-minute goal and went on to face Aalborg to the west, and this time it was Aalborg winning on penalties. So everyone around here has been losing on their second match so far, and Aalborg gets lucky rolling a 1, so their turn ends with a +1 overall upgrade. So we go back to the wheel, and it lands on Göztepe. This team just ended their turn recently rolling a 1, and they roll a 1 again. Now the arrow's pointing towards the northeast, and in that direction we've got Samsunspor, and Samsun wins the match 2-0, so Göztepe doesn't get lucky again, and Samsun has to play at most 6 matches. For their second match, they're heading southwest to face Olympiakos, and it goes to the Greeks. Olympiakos wins it 3-2. Now the Greek side will play 5 matches, and for their second match, their Turkish conquest will continue against Eyüpspor, and they win it 2-1. Now they're neighbors against my favorite team, Fenerbahçe, but for their third match, they're heading southwest, and over in that direction, we've got Bodrumspor, and they upset the Greeks. Bodrum was only a 2.5-star side, I believe, but they managed to take back all this land for the Turks. They also roll a 5 and head southwest to take over Libya. The +3 will go to striker El Kabi. Next, they take over Algeria and get the +3 for their goalkeeper. They're following that up by taking over Mali. This time, the +3 goes to a center back, and they'll end their turn by taking over Tunisia, with Freddy getting the +3 in midfield. Now, next up, from the wheel, we get Bologna. They roll a 4 and first attack Mantova to their northwest. They win the match 2-1. Then the arrow points towards Modena, and the underdogs win it on penalties. They take Freuler, then they roll a 1, so their starting 11 receives the +1. The next team we're moving on to is Rio Ave. They're right here in the north of Portugal. Having to play 3 matches, they first face Boavista, and they lose. Boavista rolls a 1 and immediately receives the +1 upgrade. Next, we get Viborg from the wheel. They're in the north of Denmark. They first attack Midtjylland and lose on penalties. Midtjylland then rolls a 1, so they get an immediate upgrade. Next, we're moving on to Bergamo Calcio, aka Atalanta, and after rolling a 4, they first attack Modena and they beat them 4-0. Then they attack Hellas Verona to the northwest and beat them 2-1. Then their third match is against Südtirol, who they beat 2-0. And finally, to complete their turn, they attack Venice and beat them, so their starting 11 receives the +1 bonus. Next up, we've got Górnik Zabrze from southern Poland, who roll a 6 and first face Katowice to the east. They win the match 3-2, then proceed to take over Slovakia to the south and have Lukas Podolski go up to 74. For their third action, they're attacking Austria Vienna to the southwest and beat them 2-1, with Poldi getting the winner. Next up, they're facing a much tougher side than Slavia Prague, and this is where their journey ends. Slavia take Podolski and also roll a 6. And for their second match, they're facing Ferencváros to the south, and they end up winning the match 4-2 in extra time. Next, the Czech side would first go on to take over Serbia and then Bulgaria. Next, they're attacking the Romanian side Slobozia, and in shocking fashion, they lose the match on penalties. So all this land that Slavia works so hard for goes over to the 1-star side. Slobozia is also adding Dibush to their squad. Let's see how long they'll be able to last. They roll a 3, and for their next match, they're challenging Utah, and they weren't able to last that long. Now, Utah rolls a 1, which ends their turn. Next up, we've got Motherwell from Scotland. Having to play 6 matches, they first attack Carlisle, and they beat them on penalties. Next up, it's Hibernian, and the defending side wins it 1-0. Now, Hibernian needs to only play 1 more match, and that match is against Newcastle United, and it ends up being the final match of the video for them. Newcastle aren't taking any players, and their next direction of attack is towards the east, and across the sea, our line hits Copenhagen's territory, and Newcastle win it 3-0, so they expand their territory quite a lot here. The next team they're facing is Aachen, and it's another easy win. And now for their final match, they're heading south to face Saarbrücken, and they win this match as well, successfully completing their turn. Next, we're heading to North America for the first time. Columbus Crew are attacking Toronto FC, and the defending side wins the match 2-1. Cucho Hernandez will provide a huge upgrade to Toronto's attack. The Canadian side rolls a 6, and the next team they're attacking is Philadelphia. They win this match as well. And then for their third match, it's barely touching New York Red Bulls territory, and the attacking side wins it once again. They follow this up by taking over Turks and Caicos, then they take over Cuba, and for their final action, they take over yet another country in Iceland. Now we move over to Saudi Arabia. Al Ahly is attacking Al Ittihad, and they lose 1-0. Al Ittihad rolls a 2, and is attacking Al Hilal, and they win this huge match as well, successfully completing their turn. We keep moving eastward. Central Coast are next, and they roll a 2. They first take over Cook Islands, and now they're attacking Wellington Phoenix, but they lose 3-2. Wellington Phoenix only has to play one more match, and that's against Newcastle Jets, which they win, and their starting 11 gets the +1. Now back to the MLS we come. It's Montreal attacking Vancouver, and the Whitecaps win the All-Canadian affair. They can attack 4 more times, and their next target is Toronto, but this is where it ends for Vancouver. Toronto wins it to take over all of Canada. They roll a 4, and the arrow points towards Seattle's land. They beat their western rival 1-0. Then they get past Colorado and Kansas City to successfully complete their turn for a second time. Now we're going all the way south to Argentina. San Lorenzo rolls a 5 and is attacking Lanús, and they win 2-1. Next, the arrow points towards River Plate, and the Millionaires win the match 3-1, taking over San Lorenzo's land and acquiring Iker Muniain. They'll have at least 5 more matches to play, so they're attacking Riestra next. And they lose the match on penalties. Acuna is the player to switch teams. The dice roll is a 2, and Riestra is attacking Argentinos, and this time they lose. Then rolling a 5, Argentinos attack Independiente to the southeast, and once again the attacking side is the loser. Independiente now have to play at most 5 more matches, and Barracas is their next target. They win 3-0. Then they go on to beat Platense, Tigre, Defensa, and now for their final match they attack Estudiantes to the southwest and fail to successfully complete their turn. Continuing in Argentina, Estudiantes have 1 more match to play, and it's against Gimnasia. They win the match, so their turn is over, and we finally get to spin the wheel. It lands on Flamengo. They become the first Brazilian team to see some action. They roll a 4 and attack Botafogo to the southwest. Flamengo wins it 2-0. Their next target is Fluminense, and Flamengo takes them out as well. They're now attacking Atlético Mineiro to the north, and they keep on winning. And for their final match, the arrow points to the northeast, and Flamengo beat Fortaleza to successfully complete their turn. Now next up from the wheel, we get Las Palmas. They'll play a maximum of 6 matches, and the arrow from their location in the Canary Islands points all the way to Iceland, which belongs to Toronto FC, and Las Palmas win it 3-1 to take over a big chunk of North America, Cuba, Turks and Caicos, and of course Iceland. Now because all this land is spread apart so much, I'm gonna start placing the logo of the winning side wherever the battle happens. So Las Palmas' logo will go over Iceland, and their next direction of attack will be southeast, and over that way we find Ross County. Las Palmas wins again. They followed this up by taking Greenland to the northwest, then Cape Verde all the way to the south, and entered Africa to the northeast, taking Mauritania. And now in the 6th action of their turn, they're finally facing another team with a lot of land, Bodrumspor, and the lowly Turkish side upsets Las Palmas. They now get control over a lot of land, so they're first taking Senegal to the south, then they're adding Niger just by a hair to the northeast, and on their 4th action they take over Morocco to the northwest. Then the arrow points to Ajaccio on the French island of Corsica. Bodrum win this match 3-2, and on their final action the arrow hits the other team on the island, Bastia. Bodrum win this one as well to complete an amazing turn. Now from our visually upgraded, nicer looking wheel, Espanyol are the next team to attack. Now at this point we would normally roll a dice to see how many matches Espanyol will play, but first, we'll let them attack. It just occurred to me that rolling the dice after the first match makes more sense, because if the attacking side were to lose, we would have rolled the dice for no reason. I know this video is already super fast paced, but to condense all 667 teams into a video that I'm hoping is less than 2 hours, I had to do it this way. Now, having said all that, Espanyol's next direction of attack is northeast, and the Barcelona derby goes to Barcelona. Now, let's see how far Barcelona can go. They roll a 4, and next they attack Huesca. They beat them as well. And for their 3rd match, the arrow points towards Zaragoza. Barca wins it 4-2. And now to complete the turn, their next opponent is Villarreal, and they win this match by the same score. So the entire starting 11 receives a +1 upgrade. Time to move on to a different team, and it's Charlton. Going straight north to the southeast of London, Charlton are attacking Millwall, and the defending side wins the match. So now Millwall will have to play 3 more matches. And in their 2nd match, they beat Leyton Orient. Next, they attack Gillingham, and and they beat them 2-0. And now for their final match of the turn, the arrows barely touching Brighton's border, and the Premier League side wins the match on penalties, and they'll have to play at most 5 more matches. And their next attack will be towards the north, and West Ham is over there. West Ham are favorites on paper, and they win the match 2-0. Now rolling it to, they'll only have to play 1 more match, and that's going to be against Crystal Palace. And Palace demolishes West Ham 3-0. They also roll it to, and the team they'll be attacking is Colchester. They win the match, so they successfully complete their turn. Next up, it's Santa Clara floating off the coast of Portugal. Their target is Bodrumspor. It's the Turkish side winning on penalties. They roll a 3 and get lucky with some free land grabs. First the Bahamas, then the Cayman Islands to complete the turn. Now going back to the wheel, it lands on Mirandes. They launch their attack northwest towards Burgos, and it's a narrow 1-0 win. Next, a roll of 2 takes them east to Deportivo Alaves, but this time it's the defending side winning the match. Now Alaves rolls a 3 and heads north. Their next opponent is Eibar. It's a close one, but Alaves wins it 2-1. For their final action, the Spaniards look north and say bonjour to Brest across the ocean, but the French side responds with a adios amigos as they win it 4-2. Now with 2 more actions to go, Brest sets its sights on Spain. First stop La Coruña. They win the match by a goal, and they finish strong by knocking out Ferrol to the east, successfully wrapping up their turn. Next up, it's Mönchengladbach in Germany, and they're going straight for regional domination. They're attacking Newcastle. Here's how the 2 sides stack up, but in the end, Newcastle wins it 2-1. The Magpies roll a 5 and head southeast to face Cologne, and it's a shocker. Cologne pulls off the upset, scoring 3 goals on 3 shots. They also get a massive boost in attack, taking Isak, and now they roll a 5 of their own, starting with a quick takeover of Luxembourg. Cologne keeps pushing, first knocking out Standard Liège, then brushing past Union Saint-Gilloise, and finally beating a strong Stade de Reims side to successfully end their turn. Now spinning the wheel takes us north up to Scandinavia. Norway's KFUM is taking on Sandefjord, and they squeeze out a 2-1 win. They roll a 4 and attack a stronger Lillestrøm side, but they lose the match. Next up for Lillestrøm, it's Odds, and they take care of business with a 2-0 win. So that'll end their turn, and they get an upgrade. Now we shift west to Scotland, where St. Johnstone is attacking Bodrumspor, but the Turkish side isn't slowing down. Another win for Bodrum. They roll a 2 and continue their run by beating Dundee United 2-1, which means it's another turn completed. Now we head south to England, where Bristol City is attacking Manchester United, and it's the Red Devils winning 4-2. Just like Bodrumspor, they roll a 2 and the arrow points to Reading. United wins this match as well, and that ends their turn. Next, the wheel sends us across the Atlantic to Bolivia. Nacional Potosi is attacking Wilstermann, and Wilstermann takes the W on penalties. Now they attack the Chilean side Cobresal, but the Miners win the match and defend their land. Now Cobresal rolls a 2 and attacks Real Tomayapo to the east, but they lose the match. And Tomayapo rolls a 1. With that, their turn ends. Now we head over to Poland. It's Korona Kielce kicking things off by heading south to face Cracovia. Kielce are the slightly weaker side, but they get the win. Next up for them, it's Stal Mielec, and the victory goes to the defending side. Mielec now attacks another Polish side in Puca, and the defending side wins once again. With Puca rolling a 1, our quick Polish adventure comes to an end. Now the wheel gives us Nacional, so we're heading to Uruguay, and they somehow find Estudiantes at the southern tip of Argentina. On paper, Estudiantes are favorites, but Nacional wins it 3-1, and they claim a decent amount of land, and they get lucky rolling the dice, so their turn ends. Next up, it's Girona. We ping pong back to Europe, and the arrow lands ever so slightly on Toulouse, just barely avoiding Barcelona. Girona breathes a sigh of relief, but Toulouse came out to win. They roll a 6 and immediately go west to challenge Barcelona, but Barca reminds them of their name as they lose 3-0. With 4 more matches to go, Barcelona rolls through Pau FC. And one quick note, I have Bordeaux here on the map, but they're not actually in FC 25, so we'll just erase them and give the land to Barcelona. Now for Barca's third match, the arrow points to the south, and it's the end of Bodrumspor's fairy tale run. Barca wins it 3-0. They're now off to Italy to the northeast, where they dispatch Juve Stabia with ease. And for their final attack, they go north to Napoli. Barcelona wins the match to end its turn and receive the +1 upgrade. Now back to the wheel. We've got the Saudi champions Al Ittihad. First up, they take out Riyadh FC to the southeast. With a roll of 6, they gain momentum, beating Al Wehda 3-1, then Al Khaloud 4-1, and then it's eastwards towards Al Tawun with another W there. Then they cap it off with a win over Al Oroba to complete their turn. Now heading north, Çaykur Rizespor's up next. next. They start by taking over Armenia to the east, and with 4 actions left, they move towards Azerbaijan and challenge Karabakh, but the defending side wins it 3-2. Karabakh has to play one more match, and for that, they sail across the Black Sea to challenge UTA, and they pull off a 3-0 win to end their turn. Now we move over to Cordoba in central Spain. They're attacking Leganes to the north, and they lose 2-0. Leganes rolls a 1 to end the quick turn. We now go back over to Romania. Gloria Buzău open up with a 2-0 win over Petrolul. Then after rolling a 6, they beat Sepsi 4-2, but stumble against Cluj University. Cluj rolls a 2 and beats Otelul Galati to end their turn. Now we don't have to travel far because it's PAOK from Greece. Their first target is AEK, and the double-headed Eagles derby goes to PAOK. Next, they head northeast to face Karabakh, and they take them out as well. Some Greeks will now be smiling at this. PAOK takes over Macedonia, but that joy is short-lived as their final action sends them straight into the jaws of Barcelona, and the Catalans win it 2-1. Barca looks primed to keep expanding its land. Their next direction of attack is east. It's a big matchup. Roma's there, and Barcelona wins the match in extra time. They get Paulo Dybala, and next they take over Jordan with Yamal receiving the +3, and now it's another big matchup. They attack Al Ittihad to the south. This is the current starting 11 for the Saudi side, but Barcelona wins it in extra time. Dybala got himself a hat-trick as Joao Cancelo gets picked up, and finally they take over Sudan to end their turn. Just to remind everybody, if you skipped over, if you take over a country, you don't receive the +1 overall upgrade for the entire starting 11. Now we head over to South America. It's Internacional, and they'll be attacking Gremio to the south, and they win the match 2-0. They'll have 3 more actions, and the next one's to the northwest. They attack the Argentine side, Union, and they lose to them. Union will have 1 more match to play, and it's going to be against Paranaense, and the Brazilians win it this time. They'll have plenty of more matches to play, but actually they say we'll sail over the ocean, take over Angola, then they take over Namibia to the south, and now they sail back over to South America to challenge Nacional, and they beat them as well. Now next up it's Corinthians, and the defending side wins it 1-0. They roll a 3 and attack Flamengo to the north, and Flamengo takes them out. Now Flamengo rolled a 2, so they only play Bragantino, and they beat them to complete their turn. Next up it's Zagłębie Lubin in Poland. They go big, challenging the much stronger Lech Poznan, but they lose 2-0. Poznan now has 5 more chances to expand, and their next opponent is Śląsk Wrocław, and it's a surprising result. Śląsk wins it in extra time. They roll a 4, and the arrow points towards Barcelona, and this this is the biggest upset of the entire video. Wrocław stuns Barcelona in extra time. Lewandowski's headed home back to Poland, and just like that, Barcelona is wiped off the map. Śląsk keeps rolling as they beat Rapid Wien next, but then fall to the Romanian side, CFR Cluj. So Lewa switches teams once again. Cluj now has to play 5 more matches, but in their very next game, they lose to the other Cluj side, the university one. So it's Lewandowski on the move once again. Cluj University rolls a 6 and attacks Botoshani and wins the match 2-1. They follow this up by taking over Moldova, where Lewandowski goes up to 94 overall. Then it's a win over Polytechnica Iași, but they hit a wall against Dynamo Kiev. The Ukrainian side becomes Lewandowski's 5th club, and they also roll a 6. For their second match, they're heading west to play Sparta Prague. It's a close one, but Kiev takes it on penalties. Next, they attack Piast Gliwice, who are completely surrounded. Lewa must have been feeling nostalgic as he heads back to a Polish club with this result, and Gliwice only has to play 1 more match, and it's against Dinamo Zagreb to the south, but it's the Croatian side winning it on penalties and becoming Lewandowski's new team. They roll a 3 and first take over Bosnia to the south, and then Kosovo to the southeast to complete their turn. Now it's time to pick a new team, and it's Vitoria, and the Portuguese side will be attacking Real Valladolid. They win the match 2-0. Now having rolled a 2, their next direction of attack is southeast again. It's Real Madrid, and they win it 5-3. We just had Barcelona eliminated. Let's see how far Real Madrid can expand. They roll a 5, and for their second match, they're heading northeast, which means they have to play Stade Brestois. Brest wins it on penalties. What a shocker. It goes to Brest on penalties as they expand their land. They're also bringing back Kylian Mbappe to France. Now they roll a 6 and attack Leganes to the southwest, and they beat them as well. Next up, their target is Rayo Vallecano, and they also win this match 2-1. Mbappe had both goals. They now pushed right up against Atletico, but they're heading northwest, and over that way we've got Braga, and Brest win this match as well. Now for their 5th match, they're attacking Gil Vicente, and they beat them as well. For their final attack, they're heading north to challenge Celta Vigo, and they fail to complete the turn. Celta wins it 1-0. They now pick up Kylian Mbappe, and they'll have 4 more matches to play. So they first attack Oviedo and beat them 2-0. Next up, it's Moreirense to the south, and they beat them by the same score. Their 4th match will be against Boavista, and they keep on winning. And now for their final match, the arrow's pointing to the north, slightly east, and that means they're going all the way to Ireland to play Waterford, and they beat them 2-1 to successfully complete their turn. Now the next team to go is Real Salt Lake, so we head back over to North America, and they're first attacking southeast, and guess what? This is Dinamo Zagreb's land, and they take out Dinamo Zagreb. So Lewandowski now moves to the MLS. Salt Lake rolls a 3 and attacks LA Galaxy next, and LA Galaxy becomes Lewandowski's next team with this win. I wonder how many teams Lewandowski will have played for by the end of this video. Now LA Galaxy roll a 5 and attack Austin to the east. It's another win for them. They're now taking over Mexico with their 3rd move. Next we'll have the LA Derby, and it goes to Galaxy. And for their final match of the turn, they're attacking FC Dallas. It's Luka Doncic versus Anthony Davis, and the win goes to FC Dallas. So Dallas pick up Lewandowski and take over half the world. They roll a 4 and go on to beat Minnesota, then follow it up by beating St. Louis City. However, in their final match of the turn, they lose to Portland, and Portland rolls a 1, so their turn ends right away, but we'll probably see them soon enough. Now we move over to Spain with Cartagena. They're taking on Elche, and they win the match 3-2. They get a major boosting goal with Dituro. They roll a 6 and plan a massive expansion by attacking Portland Timbers, but they get smashed 4-1. Portland gets lucky with the dice again, so they get another +1 boost to their starting 11. Next up from the wheel is Adana Demirspor from Turkey, and they attack Alanyaspor to their west, but lose 2-0. Alanya then beats fellow Turkish sides Kayserispor and Hatayspor, and get a chance to take over half the world with a win over Portland Timbers, but they lose. Portland Timbers now continue this turn by taking over Russia, then attack a stronger team in Trabzonspor to the southeast, and that's where their empire crumbles. Trabzon demolishes them 5-1, which means Lewandowski now has a new team yet again. With a roll of 5, Trabzon goes on to beat Shakhtar next, then Craiova, Rapid Bucharest, and complete the turn by taking over Belarus. Now the wheel picks Genoa to go next, and they go straight after Lewandowski. But Leva greets his new fans by scoring a hat-trick, so Trabzonspor will now look to keep expanding its massive territory. They get wins over Spezia and Parma, but fall short against Atalanta. Atalanta now has a chance to dominate, but that plan falls apart immediately as they head south to face Reggiana and get stunned 1-0. Reggiana then managed to hold on to their territory by beating Cremonese and then edge out Cittadella on penalties to end their turn. Next we move to Germany with Sandhausen. They challenge Hoffenheim, but the Bundesliga side defends its turf 2-1. Hoffenheim will play at most 4 more times, and next up it's Greuther Fürth. They win this match 2-1 as well. And now for their 3rd match, they challenge a stronger Stuttgart side, and the win goes to Stuttgart, who pick up Kramaric and roll a 1 to end their turn. Our next team is Al Fateh from Saudi Arabia, and they start by taking over Oman, then go all the way south to take the island of Mauritius. They must have one heck of a boat because they sail all the way to Australia to challenge Western United, and they win the match 4-0 to complete their turn. Next up from the wheel, it's Universidad Católica, the one from Chile, not Ecuador. They go up against Everton, again, the Chilean one, and it's Everton who takes the win. Everton's next opponent is Godoy Cruz of Argentina, but the defenders hold firm once again. Godoy Cruz rolls a 4 and goes on a tear, knocking out Unión La Calera, Rivadavia Mendoza, and Coquimbo Unido to complete a dominant turn. And now spinning the wheel gives us Galatasaray next. The Turkish champions immediately set their sights on Reggiana, and this time Reggiana's run ends. Galatasaray wins it 3-0, and more importantly picks up Robert Lewandowski. They now have one of the most most dangerous attacks in the tournament. The wheel spins again. We get Universidad Católica of Ecuador. They go after IDV but fall short in a 3-2 defeat. IDV rolls a 6 and gets going, knocking out UCV, then Deportes Tolima, followed by Ambato, but their streak ends at Millonarios, who beat them 3-1, and because Millonarios rolls a 1, their turn ends immediately. Next up, it's Borussia Dortmund. The German Giants waste no time attacking Cologne, who they absolutely destroy to establish regional dominance. Alexander Isak rejoins the squad after many years. They roll a 5 and continue their campaign, taking down Werl, then Bochum, and for their fourth match, they head southwest to face Leverkusen, and in this massive clash, Dortmund comes out on top, adding Florian Wirtz to their squad. Their final match is against Wolfsburg, and they edge it 1-0 to complete a flawless turn. Next, we go to Turkey with Sivasspor, and they're starting with land grabs. First Syria, then Iraq. They head further east, taking over Iran, and with incredible luck, they take over Turkmenistan and finally Uzbekistan. Now we head over to England with Coventry. They attack Northampton to the east, and they get upset. Northampton keeps the surprises coming. They go north and shock Leicester on penalties, and their final move is a bold one. They challenge Manchester United but lose 3-1 and are eliminated. United, having rolled a 5, goes on a tour of the UK, first beating Cardiff City, then Exeter City. They take out Swansea next and apparently get bored of being in Britain, setting sail to conquer the Dominican Republic. The next spin gives us Orlando City. Somehow they manage to target Charlotte FC, but Charlotte wins the match. Then they take on Atlanta and beat them on penalties to complete a quick turn. Now next up, we've got Udinese, and they take over Slovenia first. After rolling a 6, they attack Wolfsberger to the northeast and get upset. Wolfsberger picks up Alexis Sanchez, but then they fail to beat Sturm Graz in their next match, and Graz rolls a 1, which immediately ends their turn. Next, it's Uruguay's Peñarol challenging Flamengo, but the Brazilians are too strong. They win it 3-0. Then it's a huge matchup. Flamengo takes on Palmeiras. It goes to penalties and Palmeiras takes it. Now it's Palmeiras' turn to dominate. They take out Guarani of Paraguay, then sail across the Atlantic to conquer South Africa, and they wrap things up by returning to Brazil and beating Cuiabá 3-1 to complete their turn. The next team to go is Famalicão, and they attack Arauca to the south and win the match. They roll a 1, so it's a quick end to their turn. Now we head all the way over to India. Bengaluru starts by taking over the Maldives and then beats Goa, but the Kerala Blasters end their turn. Kerala rolls a 6 and goes on a run of their own, defeating Mumbai FC and setting sail across the ocean to claim Somalia as well as Ethiopia. But then they bite off more than they can chew. They attack Galatasaray and lose. Now the Turkish Giants keep their momentum going by taking over South Sudan and follow that up by taking over DR Congo. Next, they face Palmeiras in a heavyweight showdown and win the match 3-0. For their fifth action, they take over the Central African Republic. And finally, they take a trip across the Indian Ocean to beat Odisha only on penalties to complete a successful turn. Our next spin lands on Perth Glory of Australia. They first sail west to claim Madagascar, and with 5 more actions, they beat Western Sydney. Next, they go north, beating Shenzhen on penalties. Then they take over Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand to close out their turn. Next up, it's Norwich, and they also hop on a boat to sail to Belgium, taking on Cercle Bruges. The championship side wins it 1-0. But then they take on the stronger Bruges side and lose to them 4-1. Club Bruges is also following the trend of hopping on a boat. They attack Viking of Norway and win again by the same scoreline. They receive the +1 bonus for completing their turn. Now we're staying in Europe. Young Boys are attacking FC Sion, but they lose to their weaker opponent on penalties. Sion then takes on Yverdon Sport, and it's the defending side winning again on penalties. Yverdon then goes on a run, beating Luzerne and taking out Grasshopper to complete the turn. Next, we're off to Ireland with Bohemians. They're attacking the Shamrock Rovers, and they lose on penalties. Shamrock then goes for broke, attacking Manchester United. It doesn't end well. United then rolls a 3 and sweeps through Tranmere Rovers and Plymouth Argyle. Their starting 11 gets the +1 upgrade. Now, still in Europe, Go Ahead Eagles go ahead and attack Dortmund, but they lose the match 3-0. Dortmund then rolls a 5 and steamrolls through Heerenveen, AZ Alkmaar, Hamburg, and Brøndby to complete another dominant turn. Alright, let's slow things down and see how everyone's doing. Dortmund obviously has a decent amount of land in Northern Europe, but nobody comes close to the Turkish side. Galatasaray, who are currently in India, they control pretty much half the world right now. Perth has a decent bit of land in Southeast Asia. We still haven't really been in China or Korea. Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr is still here, and also Lionel Messi's Inter Miami hasn't seen any action yet. There are only 2 Brazilian sides left in South America. There's still quite a bit of Argentinian teams. And then over in England, Manchester City still hasn't played a match. Bayern Munich has also been silent in Central Europe. And then over in Italy, we've got Inter, we've got Milan. PSG still quiet, the Champions League winners. So now let's continue. The next team to go will be Real Betis. The GOAT Anthony was playing for them when I filmed this video. They're going straight after Sevilla, but El Gran Derby goes to the defending side. Sevilla rolls a 5 and the arrow points east towards Celta Vigo. Remember, Mbappe's with this team, and the win goes to Celta. Mbappe did score. Now they'll play 2 more matches. They first head northwest to attack Arauca, and they win this match 4-2. And for their final move of this turn, the arrow points southwest, and over there we've got Benfica. But Celta Vigo hang on to a 2-1 win. They pick up Di Maria, and their starting 11 gets a +1. Now we're off to Greece with Panathinaikos, and the only team they can attack is Galatasaray. They lose to the Turkish side 2-0. Gala always seems to roll a 6, so they go on a run, beating fellow Turkish side Kasımpaşa, then Sturmgras, which I had forgot to update on the map. They then take out Hartberg as well, and finally they attack Hertha Berlin to the northwest and beat them to successfully complete their turn. Next from the wheel is Qingdao Hainyu, and they sail across the Yellow Sea to attack Jeonbuk of South Korea, but the Korean side is too strong. They lose 4-1. Jeonbuk plays 3 more matches, taking out Daegu, Daejeon, and Pohang to successfully complete their turn. Next from the wheel, we get Preußen Münster. I'd forgotten to put them on the map, but they get their debut against Dortmund and lose. Dortmund rolls a 2 and knocks out a surrounded Düsseldorf to end their turn. Now to the Canary Islands, Tenerife travels all the way across the Caribbean to face Galatasaray. It's an epic penalty shootout, but Galatasaray survives after a total of 16 penalties. They roll a 5 and head north to face New York City FC, but after 2 close calls, they finally fall. All that land and Robert Lewandowski now belongs to New York City FC. They roll a 1 to immediately end a very successful turn. Palermo's next, beating Catanzaro 3-1. The arrow then points to New York City FC's territory, and Lewandowski scores the only goal of the match to win it for his team. New York City FC's 6-move turn continues with a takeover of Albania, then Uganda, followed by Chad. They then head back north to face Al Raid in Saudi Arabia and beat them 3-0, and finally they wrap things up by defeating Damak to end another strong turn. Our next team is Boca Juniors, and they also want to take over the world, but New York City FC holds on with a 3-2 win. Now a completely surrounded Banfield gets forced into action. Now if you hadn't caught it yet, if a team is completely surrounded by the attacking side, they get forced into action. But I guess it was a good thing for Banfield as they stun New York City FC. They claim Lewandowski as well as all their land. But the Banfield Empire lasts just 1 match, falling to Sarmiento, who then immediately lose to Huachipato. The Chileans head north to face Godoy Cruz next, but the Argentines win easily. However, their empire also crumbles right away when they lose to Colo Colo. Colo Colo manages to hold on to all this land by beating Palestino first, then Vélez Sarsfield next. However, they end up falling to Newell's Old Boys, so Lewandowski's moving again. Newell's take out Instituto next, then lose to Talleres 3-1, and they become Lewandowski's 127th team. Now, I'm only kidding. If you've been keeping track, let me know what number Lewandowski's currently at and how many teams he ends up playing for. Now, Talleres rolls a 5 and storms through Belgrano Cordoba, Central Cordoba, Atletico Tucumán, and Real Tomayapo to complete a very successful turn. Leva can take a much needed rest as Bromley is up next. They can only attack Crystal Palace and they lose 3-2. Palace goes north to face Tottenham and now they lose 3-2. Just like they did in real life, they pick up Mohamed Kudus. Now Tottenham rolls a 5 and sails south to face Dunkirk, who are a 2-star side, and Spurs shockingly get knocked out on penalties. Real life parallels continue as Son's the player to switch teams. However, even with Son on their side, the fun doesn't last for Dunkirk as they lose to Club Bruges. Bruges then rolls a 5 and plows through northern France, beating Amiens, Den Havre, followed by Caen, and finally Laval to successfully complete the turn. FC Cincinnati is up next and they're attacking Charlotte FC, but they lose 1-0. Charlotte then finds Talleres all the way in Africa, but the Argentines defend, winning 3-2. They only have one more game to play, and that's going to be against Cadiz to the north. They win it 3-1 to collect their +1 upgrade. Now we're off to Switzerland. St. Gallen is attacking Zurich, and they win 3-1. However, their attack against the weaker Winterthur has them eliminated with a 2-1 loss. Winterthur continues their turn by attacking Lugano to the south, but Lugano wins 4-3. Although they beat the German side Ulm next, they lose to a much stronger Augsburg. Augsburg follows up this win with an embarrassing 1-0 loss to 1860 Munich. So our new team now defeats Altach 2-1, then loses to Karlsruhe 3-2. Karlsruhe also crashes out quickly to Stuttgart. Stuttgart rolls a 6 and sweeps through Waldhof, Erzgebirge, then Regensburg, Ingolstadt, and Nürnberg for a flawless turn. Now we finally spin the wheel again and get Leeds United. They attack Barnsley and win the match 2-0. Next, they take out Bradford City 3-1, but then get shocked by Doncaster. Doncaster's minute of fame ends there as they immediately lose to Burnley. Burnley then attacks Blackburn and gets defeated 2-1. Then Blackburn attacks Preston, and Preston wins 2-1 this time. Preston continues their attack against Accrington Stanley, and they win 2-1 once again. However, on their next move, they get shocked by a 4-3 defeat at the hands of Fleetwood. Fleetwood rides the wave, beating Morecambe, Barrow, St. Mirren, and finally Rangers on penalties to complete an incredible turn. We now get Cosenza from the wheel, and the southern Italian side is attacking Bari to their north and beat them 3-1. Next, they take on the mighty Talleres of Argentina and manage to get the win. So Lewandowski has a new home and Cosenza takes over most of the world. They then attack Lecce to the southeast and defeat them with a goal from Leva. After sailing across the Mediterranean and taking over Lebanon, they attack Sivasspor of Turkey, who also have a decent amount of land by the way, and the win goes to Cosenza as they complete a very good turn. Spinning the wheel for a new team lands on Braunschweig. They attack Hanover 2 and beat them 2-1, but then lose to Dortmund on their next move to get eliminated. Dortmund rolls a 4 and the arrow points south, so it's a tough match against Stuttgart, but they manage to win by a goal. Next up for them is another tough opponent in Leipzig, but BVB wins again. Now the arrow points southwest and it's yet another strong Bundesliga side, but Dortmund beats Frankfurt as well, and on their final move they attack Mainz and win to successfully complete a very good turn. The wheel sends us to France next as Stade Rennais is attacking Guingamp and they win the match 2-0. They challenge Nantes next but lose the match on penalties. Now Nantes want to control the world, so they attack Cosenza, but the Italians hold on by winning on penalties. They'll look to further strengthen their squad against Angers next. However, the 3-star side wins the match in extra time, so Cosenza's adventure comes to an end. Leva has yet another club. Angers continues its turn with a win against Clermont Foot, but they fail to win against Auxerre. Auxerre only has to play one more match, and that'll be against Inter Miami as they sail all the way across the Atlantic. Messi's side was slightly weaker at the time of filming, and it's the French side winning decisively, so Lionel Messi will now join Lewandowski at Auxerre, and the starting 11 gets the +1 for completing the turn. Next up, we have Everton, and the Toffees head north to attack Blackpool and get shocked on penalties as they lose the match. Blackpool rolls a 1, so their turn ends immediately. Now we head to Denmark with Nordsjælland, and they sail north to attack Lillestrøm of Norway, and it's the Norwegian side winning 2-1. Lillestrøm continues with wins against Rosenborg and Molde next. However, they fall short against Auxerre, so they're out. Auxerre with a roll of 1 gets an immediate boost. The wheel lands on Borussia Dortmund next. They first take out Darmstadt and Wien Wiesbaden in a close one on penalties, followed up by an easier win against Viktoria Köln, and finally they beat their second team 3-1 to successfully end another turn. Now the wheel lands on Bolton. They attack Salford City and win the match 1-0. Their next move is against Blackpool and they lose it 2-1. Blackpool now continues with an attack against Liverpool to their southwest, and Liverpool wins the pool derby. No surprises here. They roll a of 4, and the arrow points towards Manchester United's land next. And this time we do have a surprise. Manchester United wins the match 2-1. Mohamed Salah will now join United. The Red Devils are leaving the UK once again. They take over Guyana in South America. On their next move, the arrow points towards Metropolitanos of Venezuela. This is a 1.5-star team. And in a huge upset, Manchester United are eliminated. Salah is the player to join Metropolitanos. Now, riding the high of beating Manchester United, they go after Auxerre immediately, only to lose to them 3-1. Auxerre picks up Salah and rolls yet another one to immediately end its turn. We're now off to northern Italy with Como. They're attacking AC Milan, and Milan defends its land with a 2-1 win. Now it's time for expansion for the Rossoneri as they roll a 6. Their next match is against Juventus to the west, and they win 2-1 once again. They keep going westward, taking out Annecy in France, then go southeast to beat Torino 2-0, and on their 5th move, the arrow points northeast to Borussia Dortmund's land. Dortmund definitely has the stronger side with all their upgrades, and the win goes to Dortmund. Dortmund then takes out Yverdon Sport and has no issues against Grenoble Foot after that. Then for their 4th action, they attack Sampdoria to the east and lose to the Serie B side 2-1 as their empire crumbles in shocking fashion. Alright, let's take a quick breather and analyze our map. Most of the world is controlled by Auxerre. They've got Salah, they've got Messi, they've got Lewandowski. They'll be tough to beat, but you never know. Then you've got Celta Vigo in Spain. They control quite a bit of land here. Sampdoria just took out Borussia Dortmund. They've got Central Europe. Bayern Munich hasn't seen any action. PSG hasn't seen any action. You've also got Man City, they're still sleeping. And then Inter Milan, we could see them soon possibly because it's Sampdoria's turn still. And then over in Asia, most of it is intact. You've got all these Australian teams that still haven't seen any action as well. And in Brazil, you've got only Sao Paulo and Cruzeiro left. But for now, let's keep going with Sampdoria, and they're attacking Southwest, which means they're going to be facing Monaco. And they win the match on penalties, 7-6. And their next direction of attack is Southwest again, so they're attacking Nice this time, and Nice takes it 2-1. They'll take the 93 rated Kobo. Nice rolls a 6 and heads northeast to play against Heidenheim. They win 2-1 once again. Now they're neighbors with the sleeping giant Bayern Munich, but the arrow takes them back south, and it ever so slightly touches Auxerre's land right here. Remember, this is what Auxerre looks like with Lewandowski, Salah, and Messi. However, it's Nice winning 3-1. Now controlling this much land seems to be a very dangerous thing, so with Levan now on their side, let's see how long they can last. Next up, it's the Austrian side Tyrol, and it's another 3-1 win. They're now taking on Stuttgart 2 in their 5th match. They almost get shocked, but manage to win on penalties. Now finally, it's time to see Bayern Munich. With a squad like this, they surely have to win, but no. Leva scores against his former club, and Nice win the match 2-1 to bring in Kane and successfully complete their turn. Next team from the wheel is Gaziantep from Turkey, and they're completely surrounded by Nice. Their squad looks like this, a 3-star side, and they managed to shock Nice. They roll a 3 and head eastwards, taking over Tajikistan, then Kazakhstan to complete their turn. The wheel gives us Martigues next, and they attack Montpellier to their west. Montpellier wins 3-2 and rolls a 6. They then take out Rodez first, then Saint-Etienne, and finally face Gaziantep in their 4th match, but their run stops there. Gaziantep then rolls a 1 to immediately complete its turn. We head to Poland next with Lechia Gdansk, and they also target Gaziantep, but the Turks make it look easy. On their next move, they head northeast to take over Lithuania, and they go west to take out Pogon 2-0. After that, they sailed north to beat Kalmar 4-1, followed by Norrköping 2-0, and finally, they somehow managed to target Hartberg all the way down south and beat them 3-0 to successfully complete their turn. Oh, and if you've been following closely, Hartberg just had their 2nd chance. It was a mistake that they were on the map, I just realized, and they lost again. Now back to the wheel. It's Sheffield Wednesday, and they're going after Fleetwood's land, but Fleetwood wins it in extra time. Their incredible run continues with a roll of 4. They attack Nottingham Forest and shock the Premier League side with a win. From there, they take out Mansfield Town, then beat Rotherham 3-0 to complete yet another amazing turn. The wheel now takes us north to Finland. HJK Helsinki heads even further north to attack Tromsø, and it's the Norwegians who come out on top. They roll a 1 to end their turn right away. Next up, it's Sydney FC. They head south to face MacArthur and win 1-0. Then they beat Melbourne City on penalties, but lose to Auckland and are eliminated. Now the New Zealand side is on the march. They first head north to take over North Caledonia. They then beat their fellow Kiwis 1-0 and continue their run against Brisbane to the north. They sailed northwest to claim Vanuatu next, and finally the arrow points west to Perth. Auckland wins the match to complete a very dominant turn. Next on the wheel, it's Sporting from Portugal, and somehow they find the perfect direction to target Gaziantep way out in the Canary Islands. Sporting wins at 4-2 despite Lewandowski's best efforts. They now take control of the world. Their turn comes to a quick close with a takeover of Djibouti on the other side of Africa. Now we move to northern China. Changchun Yatai heads southeast to carefully take over North Korea. They then swing back northwest to take on Sporting, but Sporting defends with a 3-1 win. The Portuguese side then pushes west to face Tromsø and wins 3-0. Now to complete the turn, they head into Sweden to face Sirius, and it's a shock. Sirius wins it 2-1. With Lewandowski, Sirius go from 1 star to 2 stars, but it doesn't seem to matter much because on their very next attack, they lose 2-1. Unterhaching then rolls through Poland, beating Widzew Łódź, Puszcza, and Motor Lublin before making a surprise move south to face Al Fateh. Al Fateh had been chilling in Tasmania for ages, so it wasn't surprising when they won this match that they welcomed Leva with that.
Welcome, mate.
Now back in the Arabian Peninsula, Al Fateh takes over Qatar, then heads east to face Al Ain, and this time it's the Emirati side who win 3-1. Al Ain move northeast to claim Pakistan, then further east to challenge the half-star Punjab FC, and it's Punjab shocking the world with a 3-1 win. Leva's new club moves west to take over Bahrain, then beats Al Khalij 2-1 to finish their turn. Next up, we've got Gangwon FC from South Korea, and they take down Seoul 2-1. But then when they try to take over the world, Punjab FC proves too strong. Punjab roll a 1 to immediately end their turn. Next up, it's Osasuna in Spain, and they attack Punjab FC, who had to travel quite a bit to get here. Osasuna surely has to win with this squad, but the mighty Punjab keeps defending its land. They only need to play one more match, and it's gonna be against Galway United. Punjab win 3-1, and with all their new players, they're now a 2.5-star team. Jamshedpur of India is up next, and they attack Punjab. Punjab brushes them aside as well. And then they just keep growing their empire by adding Kenya, Tanzania, Eritrea, and Burkina Faso to end their turn. The wheel now takes us to Peru. Huancayo attacks Bolivar. It's an even contest, but the Bolivians defend successfully. They go after Punjab next. The match ends 4-4, and finally, Punjab's incredible run has come to an end on penalties. Now, next up for Bolivar is a clash against Millonarios to the northwest, but with a 2-1 loss, their empire crumbles immediately. So Leva joins Millonarios, whose very next match is against Universitario of Peru, and Universitario defends their land. Now, Universitario changes the trend by beating Deportivo Táchira next. They follow it up with a win on penalties against La Guaira, and they finish their run with a 2-1 win over Carabobo FC. Next up, it's Frosinone from Italy. They want to take over the world, but Universitario crushes them 3-0. A roll of 1 gives the Peruvians a bonus right away. Now the wheel gives us the strongest from Bolivia, and fittingly, they prove strong enough to finally beat Universitario. Their next move is a takeover of Barbados, which ends their turn. Next up, it's New England. Because they're pretty much surrounded by the strongest, they end up attacking them. They win at 3-2, and from there, they sail across the Atlantic, conquering Ghana, Ivory Coast, Guinea, Gibraltar, and finally Bermuda. A very lucky run to complete their turn. The wheel spins again, and it's Al Qadisiyah of Saudi Arabia. They're attacking the biggest empire on the map, and they beat New England to take over the world. Leva moves to his 145th club at this point. Honestly, you're a true legend if you know how many teams Leva's played for so far. Now with Leva on their side, they first go south to beat Al Faiha, then claim Kuwait to complete their turn. The wheel spins again, and we land on Västerås of Sweden. Apparently that's how you pronounce it according to Google Translate. Please Swedes, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe this is where they got the name in Game of Thrones as well. So they first attack Sarpsborg of Norway, but Sarpsborg defends with a 2-1 win. Sarpsborg then beats HamKam to complete their 2-match turn. Next it's Dundee United, and they're looking to take over the world by attacking Real Cadesia. And that's exactly what they do with this win. They roll a 1, so their turn ends immediately. Now the wheel gives us Crawley Town, and they face Club Brugge in their opener. And in another shocking result, Crawley wins it 4-3. They take Heung-min Son. Alright, we'll continue the action with Crawley in a second, but first I just want to pause here for a quick moment. We all know the team that holds the most amount of land, which is currently Dundee United right here. They're probably not going to win the video because it's been very tough even for stronger teams to hold the most amount of land. So if I were to make a guess as to who the winner is going to be, I would think it's going to be one of those teams who come out of the wheel last. Now, because we're talking about this, I would appreciate any feedback as to what we could do differently to make things more fair. But let's continue with Crawley Town. We're not changing any rules at this point. That would be silly. So having rolled a 5, they're attacking Wimbledon to the northwest, and they beat Wimbledon. Next, they're attacking QPR, and the defending side wins the match 2-1. They take Heung-min Son. They roll a 2 and attack Dundee United. Lewandowski fails to score. QPR wins it 3-0. They're now gonna have this tough task of defending all this land. But for now, their turn is over. We now head over to Scandinavia with Kristiansund, and suddenly the world feels a little bit chillier. Anyhow, this team is from Norway, and they're also attacking QPR. They almost had it, but fall short on penalties. QPR rolls a 1, so their turn ends right away. The wheel doesn't take us too far. It's Aalborg of Denmark, and they also end up targeting QPR. The match goes to penalties again, but QPR comes out on top once more. This turn is a much longer one as they take over Estonia first, then Latvia, before coming back west to beat Mjällby of Sweden. From there, they travel all the way to Central Asia to conquer Kyrgyzstan, and finally, they ping-pong back west to Europe, where they beat Austria Klagenfurt to finish their turn. Next, we head to Ireland with Sligo Rovers, and at this point, it's almost inevitable. They're forced to go after the biggest empire on the map, which means it's another win for QPR. The English side then moves east to face Bodo Glimt, winning 2-0. Then it's Sarpsborg and Chicago Fire. Both of them fall as QPR completes yet another successful turn. The wheel now sends us to Uruguay with Montevideo Wanderers. They open with a 2-0 win over Danubio, and then, you guessed it, they run into QPR. The English side smashes them. With 4 more moves left, QPR takes over Congo, then beat ADT of Peru. They continue north to knock out Independiente Medellin, and then Atlético Nacional to wrap up the turn. Next, we don't go far. It's Deportivo Cuenca of Ecuador. They face fellow Ecuadorian side Barcelona, and Barca wins it 3-1. Their next match is against QPR, and they lose it 2-1. QPR rolls a 6, and the streak continues against LDU Quito, and they pull off a comeback win against Sao Paulo, go on to beat Sportivo Luqueño of Paraguay. After that, they grab Panama and finish with a dominant win over Nashville. The wheel now lands on Club Libertad of Paraguay. They take on Cerro Porteño to the east and win 3-1, but just like many others, their next opponent is QPR, and once again, QPR comes out on top. They keep going, beating Club Nacional and then Olympia for yet another strong turn. Now it's a big name, PSV Eindhoven. They face Genk to the south and win the match on penalties. They get a roll of 1 from the dice, so their turn ends immediately. We now head to China with Shanghai Port. They start well with a 1-0 win over Zhejiang, but then stumble, losing 2-1 to Meijo Hakka. Meijo's momentum doesn't last. They attack Auckland and lose 2-0. The New Zealand side then beat Wuhan, take over Japan, but finally fall to QPR. QPR only have to face Shandong Taishan next, and they win that match as well, earning yet another +1 upgrade. Now the action shifts to India with East Bengal. They roll a 5 and go on a run of their own, beating Mohammedan on penalties, and taking over Nepal, then beating Northeast United 2-0 and Mohun Bagan 2-1. They wrap it up with free land grabs in Bangladesh and Myanmar to end their turn. Now back to the wheel. It's MK Dons. They're trying their luck against QPR, but lose 4-1. QPR just keep on rolling, first beating Oxford United, then surviving a scare against Dundalk on penalties, and finally scraping past Drogheda also on penalties to end their turn. The wheel spins again and lands on Hansa Rostock. The German side are pretty much surrounded by QPR, but they pull off the upset. After 35 matches, QPR's empire finally crumbles. They lose to a 3rd division German side. The world now belongs to Hansa Rostock, and they choose used to take Heung-min Son over Lewandowski. And with that, we're down to 176 teams. And guys, this video has taken me 4 or 5 months to adapt into the video that you're seeing right now, because I did it as a series, a 9-part series. Now, from this point till the end, I'm gonna fast forward a lot. Otherwise, I think it would have taken me another month or two to get this video out. So Hansa Rostock's moment of fame immediately ends because they lose to Beijing. Then the Chinese side loses to the Korean side, Jeonbuk Hyundai, who hold on for a while. They get some more wins in China. Then they take out Houston Dynamo. They come back east to take over Cyprus. Then we get Chelsea from the wheel, who end up attacking Jeonbuk. This is what Chelsea's squad looked like at the time. And they lose to Jeonbuk 1-0. Cole Palmer switches over. Then Jeonbuk Hyundai completes his turn by taking out Stevenage, a Belgian side, and a couple of French sides. Their team looks half decent. But as soon as I say that, Sassuolo took control of the world by beating Jeonbuk. Then it was Fiorentina's turn because they beat Sassuolo. After hanging on for a couple of matches, they lost to Lazio. They expanded their land by going south into Africa and then beating Palermo until they lost to Celta Vigo, who had Mbappe. Now, it looked like Celta Vigo was going to be able to last for a while, but they ended up losing to Djurgårdens from Sweden. And then the Swedish side had a pretty good run for how strong their side is. However, when they ran into Salzburg, their dream was over. Then Salzburg ended up losing to Ajax, who held on to power for a long time. They beat teams like Valencia, Fenerbahce, Mallorca, Lyon, Lens, and the wheel finally gave us the Champions League champions PSG, who ended up attacking Ajax. Now, this is what their squad looked like back in April when I originally filmed this video, and they couldn't beat Ajax. They lost 1-0, and this is what Ajax's squad looked like right after they beat PSG. Now, after this point, Ajax went on a run of taking over countries, so their players kept receiving the +3 boost, where Mamardashvili even made it to 99 overall. Now, putting aside Ajax for a minute, you guys will remember Fleetwood Town in England. They beat a lot of good teams, some Premier League teams in this region. It was Sheffield United's turn to attack, and they were the team to knock out Fleetwood. After Sheffield got a couple more wins, they ended up losing to Ajax, and at that point, this is what Ajax's starting 11 looked like. They then got a couple more wins under their belt until it was time to attack Real Sociedad. This is what the mid-tier Spanish side looked like, and they ended up winning the match 2-1. They took a 99 rated Heung-min Son from Ajax, and the entire world map went from pink to dark blue just like that. Sociedad kept control for at least 5 or 6 matches until it was Atletico Madrid's turn. Being completely surrounded by Sociedad, they had to attack them, and the match ended 3-all, went to penalties, and Sociedad pulled off a 7-6 win. So Antoine Griezmann went back to his original team. The Sociedad Empire held tough against 12 opponents until they ran into Inter Milan. The sleeping Italian giants won the match 2-1 to take over the world. And oddly enough, on the final match of their 6-match turn, they lost to Odds BK in Norway. Their empire then fell quickly to Gothenburg of Sweden, who then fell to Pisa of Italy. Then Pisa ended up losing to Marseille. Derby County ended up beating Marseille in their next match, who then lost to Servette of Switzerland. Then these 3 matches were played. Then came Cerro Largo of Uruguay to beat Servette. They held on to power by beating a lot of other South American sides until it was Sparta Rotterdam's turn, which is when the Dutch side took control of the world by winning. Then it was Celtic's turn to take over. They beat Rotterdam, and then they quickly lost to Watford. Their rule only lasted 1 match because then they lost to Brentford, who ruled for a little bit until they lost to the Korean side Gimcheon. Gimcheon, to their credit, they lasted 10 turns until they lost to St. Pat's of Ireland. Then came Junior of Colombia by beating St. Pat's, and then they lost to Cruzeiro of Brazil. Cruzeiro then held on for a while. They took out some teams in South America. Then came Huddersfield's turn. You see them landlocked here right to the northeast of Manchester City. They opted to attack Manchester City. This is what Manchester City's starting 11 looked like at the time of filming. And they lose their first ever match in the video against Huddersfield. Man, what could have been with only 22, 23 teams remaining on the map? Manchester City could have had it all, but we continue with Huddersfield losing to Cruzeiro, who then take over Lesotho and beat Athletic Bilbao on penalties. And finally, it's time to see Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr, who beat Cruzeiro. They take control of the world, taking over some countries. Cristiano Ronaldo goes up to an 88 and then a 91. They they go on a run of attacking all these teams that they've surrounded in Germany. They take a little breather when the wheel gives a Silkeborg. They attack Vejle. The defending side wins the match on penalties. And then Vejle attacks El Nasser, who win the match. After having rolled a 5, they beat these teams to successfully complete their turn. And then with 7 teams who haven't seen any action yet on the wheel, we get Delfin SC from Ecuador. And they have to attack Al Nasser. They lose 3-0. Al Nasser rolls a 6 with 7 teams remaining on the map. They're trying to close this out. They end up attacking Beşiktaş all the way across the map. Beşiktaş has a decent 4-star side, but this Al Nasser side is just too strong. They win it 3-1. And then at this point, with only a few teams remaining on the map, I had to keep spinning the arrow until it landed on a team or a country. And here it finally landed on Monza in Italy. Al Nasser won the match 3-1 once again. Then they attacked Malmö. Ronaldo was sent off, but Heung-min Son won it for his side. And then they take over Andorra, where the +3 goes to Busanelli, who's up to a 76. Now with only 4 teams remaining on the map, all in the same region, I had to spin the arrow a million times, and it finally landed on the Italian side, Carrarese Calcio. Al Nasser won the match 2-0, and with the 3 teams remaining, spinning the wheel gives us Casapia. They made it to top 3. They have to attack Al Nasser. This is what their squad looks like, and Al Nasser wins the match 3-1. Which means we have our final. Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nasser versus the only team we haven't seen yet, Southampton. Now this match will show the biggest downside of this concept, which is if you don't get your name drawn, you can make it all the way to the end, which is again why I'm reminding you, if you have any better ideas, let me know in the comments as to how we should pick teams. But right now it's the powerhouse Al Nasser taking on last year's Southampton. The squad is from last year, which is why you're seeing the giant Onuachu right there. So will Cristiano Ronaldo be able to get it done, or will Southampton steal the show? The ref blows the whistle. We have kickoff. Southampton pressuring early on. It's a shot from Grönbeck, but Bento makes a save. Now here's Al Nasser on the attack for the first time. Ronaldo has the ball, turns it back to... not sure who that was. Otavio. And here's a shot from Heung-min Son, but Ramsdale denies him the goal. Al Nasser pressuring once again. It's Laporte playing it to Son, and Ramsdale denies him another goal. Here's Brereton Diaz. Southampton on the counter-attack. They're looking to take the lead. Grönbeck takes another shot. Bento saves that one as well. Southampton's playing pretty well. Now here's Al Nasser on the attack. Ronaldo, his shot goes straight at Ramsdale. Easy save. Has Heung-min Son played in more matches than Lewandowski has in this video? Let me know if you kept track. Here's Sadio Mane in the box. Sadio Mane looking for Ronaldo. Doesn't find him. Lots of action, no goals in the first half, but this is probably the final chance. Archer Bento makes a good save. So Southampton have a corner kick in the dying seconds of the first half. Fernandez plays it in. Comes to Onuachu, who scores! Paul Onuachu gives Southampton the 1-goal lead. Half the stadium is in shock, and those are the people with the yellow shirts. Onuachu controls the ball, takes a touch, and finds the back of the net. Beautiful stuff from Paul Onuachu. And the first half ends. Al Nasser are down 1-0. Can they come back in the second half? And here they come. Cristiano Ronaldo with a move. Ronaldo shoots it straight at Ramsdale once again. Aribo. Southampton looking to take a 2-goal lead. Here's Onuachu, played it on through, and Onuachu scores with some power behind that shot. It's a tight angle, but Paul Onuachu is on fire. He puts Southampton up by 2, and Al Nasser have a tough task at hand. It's the 66th minute. Ronaldo finds Rafa Silva on the right side. Rafa Silva cuts inside. Rafa Silva looks to find Mane and Son. Son could take the shot. Son finds Ronaldo, but Aaron Ramsdale, he's also playing great. I mean, this is the randomest final you'll ever see. Here comes Sadio Mane. Mane looking to find... What a great pass that was. Ronaldo finally gets one back. Cristiano Ronaldo takes the ball right away. But how about this assist from Sadio Mane? What a ball. Past 2 or 3 Southampton players. Ronaldo finds the back of the net. Can they pull off the comeback? Now, Al Nasser's not pressuring here. And what a pass to Onuachu, who almost got himself a hat trick. The ref's about to blow the whistle. And Southampton get it done. They are the answer to the question of who would win if 667 teams played in a World Cup, a Club World Cup Champions League format. And the answer is Southampton, apparently. Guys, this has been the toughest video I've ever made on YouTube. So if you watched it this far and enjoyed every minute of it, please hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more content. I'll try to be more consistent. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.